The emotion of fear is something that lives within every living human being. Whether that be something as common as tigers, snakes, taxes, or furries, or something uncommon, like body wash, deodorant, or some chapstick. Cause clearly there's a solid percentage of people who don't know what that is. Cause some people really do smell like ass. I mean, as they say, everybody is afraid of something. For a percentage of people, it's something harmful, and for some people, it's just basic hygiene. But you didn't click this video to hear about hygiene, but instead you clicked this video to hear about what black people are unanimously afraid of. But before I fully dive in on this video, I just want to quickly say, do not take anything said in this video seriously. This is purely for jokes and entertainment. Thank you, and let's go ahead and get into the video. Starting with the first thing that y'all are probably thinking of, the police. Or 12, whatever suits your vocabulary. All right, now I personally wouldn't say black people are necessarily scared of the cops, but more so scared of getting arrested by one. Cause let's be real, I honestly don't think any street nigga would actually be scared to get into a fight with an officer. Because I think we can all agree that most street niggas could take an average police officer in a fight. But what most black people are scared of is really being thrown in the pen. Because no matter how tough or smart you are, I don't think anyone of any race would want to spend their whole life in prison. Because at that point, all hope of ever seeing the light of day is lost, which then leads to most people diverting into one of two directions. The first one being that after you settle in prison for a few years, you end up learning a lot more about yourself and become way more spiritually enlightened, in which over time while rotting away in your cell, you end up finding yourself to have forgiven the officer who put you in there, along with the person who also snitched to the officer who got you in there. And then you end up just letting go of all grudges and you die with no regrets. Now, for the second and more common direction that most people go on, it is the complete opposite. The second you step foot in that cell, you start plotting and planning on any nigga who had anything to do with you getting caught and thrown in that cell. You start holding on to so much anger and grudges. You start to fiend for the day you get released. And once that day comes, you end up coming out the pen 10 times more insane than when you went in. You start hunting. And I mean hunting for the niggas who got you in that cell. You end up unlocking your inner craving and knocking them off your murder board one by one. All just to end right back up in that cell you've been looking forward to getting out of. I mean, yeah, you do end up getting your vengeance, but at that point, you're just gonna end up right back in your cell and probably gonna go right back to the first direction. Now, for the next thing that black people are all notoriously known for being scared of is, well, you guessed it, child support. Alright, now to start this off, obviously the fear of child support applies to any guy of any other race. But I feel like this more strongly attains to black people. I mean, the stereotype of black dads leaving didn't just come from nowhere. And y'all really can't even be mad at me for saying this, because I'm sure we all know of an African-American boy or girl without a father figure in their life. And by the way, I'm not making fun of that, because it usually ends up being those kids who grow up to be some of the most successful black kings and queens that we know of today. But it's just a sad fact that so many black fathers pack their bags and haul ass at the exact pentasecond they find out they're having a kid, all because they decided to make the mistake of doing the deed without wearing protection. Rather than just staying with their baby mama and paying child support, they decided to take their ass somewhere like Cuba looking for Tupac or some shit. Now, obviously, in some cases, some mothers do try and lie about who the father is just so they can get the money. But I'm really directing this point to the deadbeat dads who don't want to pay a percentage of their monthly income, all because they don't want to take care of a child that they helped create. And that's assuming any of these deadbeats have a job. Most of these dads who leave are usually broke as who sell the most outlandish just to survive. But then they usually end up coming back after finding out their kid becomes successful, or they just end up coming back because they spend too much money on expensive jewelry or shoes that are clearly out of their damn budget. Oh yeah, and on the topic of shoes, I have a question for y'all. How much money do you guys spend on shoes every year? Chances are that your answer is too much, which actually leads me into the next fear that I'm sure all black people have, which is getting your fresh pair of Jordans either creased or stepped on. I ain't gonna lie, I myself am kind of a victim to this one. Like, could you imagine saving up for months to buy yourself some Travis Scott ones? By the way, Utopia is amazing, go listen to that. Then as soon as you step outside your house, a random ass little kid with snot up his nose spawns out of nowhere and starts running up all over your shoes and putting smudge and dirt marks all over it as if they were a dirty kitchen towel or some shit. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm no advocate for child abuse, but in this case, I'd let this be an exception. Okay, I'm obviously joking, chill. But one thing that's worse for a black man than getting your shoes stepped on is creasing them. Because if your shoes do end up getting stomped on, at least you could always get them cleaned. But see, if your shoes get creased, it's honestly just GG's for you. I mean, yeah, obviously over time your shoes are bound to get creased, but creasing your shoes fresh out the box, I don't know if I could live with myself, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, the amount of times I've heard black people around me talk about other people's creased shoes is outrageous. Like, anytime a black person sees a dirty or creased pair of forces, they look at it with absolute disgust. disgust, almost as if they saw EDP or something. I mean, I personally say that sight of EDP is worse, but to my brethren who aren't from the motherland like I am, I can honestly understand their unyielding rage at the sight of some creased, beat up, dirty forces. It truly is a tragedy, but I mean, if you are rich, you could just buy 5 forces at a time so you never run out. Honestly, back to when I was just talking about them deadbeat dads earlier, they obviously couldn't afford that. Maybe if they'd actually get a job and tighten the f up. Oh yeah, with that being said, this actually brings me to the next unanimous fear shared by black people.
We must use these tools that the great God has given us to fight. A whip, a nightstick, a branding iron. These things strike fear into a nigga's heart. A job application.
That's right, Ruckus. A job application. All right, I'm gonna just keep this one short and sweet. Like I said earlier, this mainly applies to deadbeat black dads, because obviously not all black people are scared of a job application. I mean, look at all the strong single parents out here working 2 full-time jobs to take care of their kids, because the other co-parent decided to be a bitch and leave because they were either too stingy to pay child support or too much of a wuss to actually apply for a job and actually get out the house for once. All right, now the next thing that black people really don't play about is f***ing ghosts, bruh. Nah, now listen, obviously a lot of you watching don't think ghosts is real, and I mean, I would agree with that, but I'm honestly kind of 50-50. But when it comes to that horror shit and just scary things in general, no. I mean, just look at this video real quick. What you're looking at right now is a possessed nigga watching another nigga sleep. Now, usually in horror movies, most people in this position would think this is some sort of a joke or a prank that's being pulled by their friend. But in this case, watch what the guy that's sleeping does when he wakes up.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
See that? Brody wasted no time and went straight to action. Started to beat his possessed friend's ass until the demon left his body. Or maybe he just wanted to beat his friend's ass, but that's besides the point. And another thing that black people really don't play about is cockroaches, bro. See, most people when they see a roach, they either kill it, maybe leave it outside, or what some weird do, they let the roaches roam around their house like they're their landlord or some shit. But see, black people usually don't do all that work. The first thing that they're doing at the first sight of a cockroach is packing up their shit and moving as far as humanly possible to make sure they get the fuck away from that cockroach. Some even go above and beyond and burn their house down, but simply moving away is just fine. Anyways, look, you've now just made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and thank you for 4K subs, 100K by the end of the year.